Okay, hi there everyone. Welcome to this brief summary of the Digital Business Models Week 2. So the first thing I wanted to do is thank you all very much for some great contributions to the course this week. There's been loads of discussions, both within the platform and also on the Yammer. And I've highlighted a few to talk about in a minute, but I just wanted to say a general thank you for the sheer number of contributions, which is fantastic. You've obviously found the topics interesting, and I think the contributions you've made have added hugely to the value of the course for everybody. So thank you very much for that. And it's a hard act to follow next week. Anyway, in terms of summary then, I guess the first thing to do is to remind you, if you haven't done so already, that your first blog posts are due at midnight tonight, which is not too far away. And I think most of you have now submitted your posts. There is a link at the bottom of the week 2 materials. So the final section of week 2 has got a link for you to paste in the URL of your blog post. So I'm looking forward to going through those, and I'll get some feedback to you in the next few days. Now, they are just a practice this time round. So the next stage, having submitted your post, is to have a read through some of the work of your colleagues and enter some comments on their work directly onto the blog posts. And there are some guidelines in the module handbook about comments, because it isn't just a case of saying, oh, I think that was a great piece, or I really liked it. You need to do a substantive piece, and by that I mean about 150 words, so a paragraph really, which actually adds some specific value to the post. And it might be that you're providing a different perspective with some evidence to back up what you're saying, or you could be endorsing what the person said or disagreeing with what the person said in a constructive way, of course. So this run through is an opportunity for you to practice both the writing of a post and commenting on it, and to get some feedback on that. So if you could do your 2 comments by the end of Wednesday, that would be fantastic. So what I'll then do is some general feedback on the comments, and I'll do you some individual feedback on each of your blog posts as well. So that's that. In terms of other things to note, the MOOC, I should remind you about. Some of you have been in there already, which is great. If you'd like to copy your blog posts into the relevant place in the MOOC, or engage in a different or related discussion with somebody else on the MOOC, that would be fantastic. It will only be open for another 3 weeks, the MOOC, so it won't be open for the entire duration of your course. So just bear that in mind in terms of planning your time. We've got about 1,000 people signed up to it so far, and more joining all the time, which is great. Okay, so I've written a few notes in terms of things to remind me to say. Okay, I've talked about the MOOC, I've talked about the blog posts. Right, a few points to note from the different discussions. I think one thing that particularly struck me with the conversations this week is that there's a bit of a kind of a double-edged sword. People have highlighted some of the real advantages of development in technology and the impact it could have on jobs and careers going forward. And others have also quite rightly pointed out that not everyone is going to benefit. And this has been the case with massive change in the past, of course, that the benefits are very unevenly distributed. So there's some interesting examples of that we've been discussing. I wanted to point out there was an exercise where you had a word cloud, and you were asked to describe, in terms of jobs that you felt would last, that weren't likely to be automated by technology. You were asked to describe what you thought the characteristics of those jobs were. And I thought you might be interested to know that the word that came out, the most popular word or the largest word in the cloud there was empathy. And I think that was quite an interesting result. So just to highlight that to you if you hadn't seen already. Okay, and then there were several exercises where, for example, there was an amplified individuals exercise, which is all about the particular skills that were felt to be increasingly important in the world of work going forwards. And what I thought was particularly interesting from what your responses showed was, just how different those of you from different parts of the world actually responded to that question. So we have perspectives from America, people talking about Google and the whole kind of type of person and the working environment at Google. And then we had some contrasting experiences in both Spain and Germany, which gave quite a really interesting and also very rounded discussion on that topic. Okay, the interviews with the IBM and the other industry leaders, they seem to be very popular. And what I wanted to point out about those was none of the three people had met before. So they hadn't compared notes or anything before the interviews. So it was really interesting that they all said very similar things. I know I asked them the same questions, but their answers were actually very similar, which was, I thought, quite telling. Okay, another exercise I thought was worth pointing out to you was the one about the historical examples of predictions for change on Gizmodo, whereby people were looking back and people were asked to imagine the 21st century and the technologies from 70 years earlier, and just how spookily accurate some of those were. There's some really good discussions around that if you'd like to go back and have another look. So, okay, that's probably all I wanted to mention specifically. So I won't go on any longer. I'm looking forward very much to week 3. You've got quite a hard act to follow in terms of all the comments, but I think it should be very interesting and hopefully educational for all of us. So thanks again, and I look forward to reading your blog posts. Okay, cheerio for now.